Once Kadari and Zuby are settled, we'll open up for some questions here. All right. Anything out here for our student athletes? Get us going. Right here, left, front left. Here, let me just get a mic in front of you real quick. Sorry.
What's up, guys? Adam Zagoria. Zuby, Coach Self was in here before saying you've developed a lot and gotten better, since you left Kansas. And, he was asked why you left and kind of said because Hunter Dickinson came in, that maybe you thought it was too crowded at the center position. Can you just talk about a little bit about your decision to leave and how you feel you've gotten better and improved under Coach Pitino?
I was just coming in as a freshman with the highest of expectations. Things didn't necessarily go the way I had planned, and like you said, Hunter, had ultimately made the decision to commit to Kansas, and me and my family made the decision that was best for me at that stage. So, we decided to look elsewhere, and I'm entirely grateful for my time at Kansas, and so now I find myself in a better situation for myself. And over these past 2 years, I couldn't have imagined going to a different program, and where I could develop, like you said, under Coach Pitino and everything that he and all the standards that he put out for myself. So I'm really grateful that I spent the last 2 years here at St. John's, and looking forward to it.
Thanks, Zuby. Right here, right.
Kevin McNamara, WPRO. Zuby, over here.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about Omaha. What has jumped out to them in your game planning and film, and what do they do well?
They're a really talented, offensive team. They got, their point guard, who's as best as there is in the country, and their power forward as well that stands out. And all those other players, role players around them, do their roles and everything like that. So they could really shoot the ball, and like I said, they're really talented on the offensive end. So we watch film in that department, and to see where the spots where we could be the most successful, and just apply pressure the entire game.
Thank you. Right here, front right.
Ben Nixon from Newsday. Kadari, have you kind of noticed anything different? Because obviously Coach Pitino's been around the block with the tournament, just how he's prepared, just this past week, his mannerisms, everything like that. What's it been like these past few days compared to the season as a whole with him?
I'll say the intensity definitely took a jump. There's no margin for error. We've been sharp with everything we've done this week in preparing, so I'll say that's the biggest thing I noticed.
Thank you. Front left here.
Have you heard anything from Shaheen or any of your teammates at Seton Hall wishing you luck, or have they reached out to encourage you or wish you luck or anything?
Only Dylan. Only Dylan.
Just share what he said.
Yeah, just good luck and do my best and try to bring it back home.
Thanks. Anything else? John, can we get a mic for John here? Right here. No.
John Fanta from Fox Sports. I guess along those lines, who's the coolest person that you guys have heard from on this run?
Coolest person? Walter Berry?
Well, he's pretty cool. Yeah. I was thinking, in the Jimmy Fallon realm, if any other New Yorker had, given you guys good luck. I saw the Yankees, the Mets. As a Brooklyn guy yourself, like what's the meaning of that, to see all the New York sports teams be like, hey, St. John's is one of us too?
It feels good, just knowing that the whole city's backing you, and that, we've did special things this year, and we're trying to continue to keep it up and continue special things going on.
Awesome. Thank you. Anything else? Nothing else for our guys here? If there's nothing else, we can let you guys head out here. Appreciate your time.
All right, thank you.
Good luck tomorrow. We'll have Coach Pitino join us in approximately 10 minutes, around 3:50.
Right, true, right. That is good. That is hilarious that he answered a question like that. I was like, oh, no, not like that. I was like, I'm gonna guess that soundbite will make its way around today. Yeah. Yeah. That is cool. Yeah.
Welcome, Coach. Great, thanks. Once Coach is settled, we'll open up the floor to some questions here. Who wants to start us off?
Hey Rick, Ben Dixon from Newsday. You've mentioned that you've lost in the first round before, but I think only one of those times was as the better seed, that Moorhead State game. What do you remember about that day compared to maybe some of those other first round games where you've coasted into the second round?
Well, I actually talked to my team about that game and showed them because I said one of the things that happens in any basketball game is the three-point shot at the buzzer. And in that game, I believe, if my memory serves me well, I said to my team, whatever you do, don't let them take a three. We'll win it in overtime. I believe we were up 2. Don't let them take a three. Run them off the line. Sure enough, came down the court. We backed up, not wanting to get beat, gave up a 3. So my point to them was about how important it is to make sure you understand time and score and what you have to do.
Thanks, Coach. Who we got? Pat right here. Get the mic. Sorry. Can we get a mic?
Hey, Rick. Pat Forty from Sports Illustrated. Coach Self and Coach Calipari both felt like this might have been a little preordained by the selection committee. Have you guys here? Do you buy into that at all?
It really doesn't matter. They're great coaches, but I'm just concerned about Omaha because this team is, their point guard would be a top 4 point guard in the Big East. They have the player of the year at the power forward spot. I'm just excited to be here, regardless of who's coaching. It doesn't matter to me. I'm very concerned about the talent we're facing.
Thanks, Coach. Here to the right.
Hi, Rick. Back here.
Here to the right.
Nick Coy from ABC6 here in Providence. When you saw that the draw was coming back here to Providence, obviously you've been back with this program playing in the Big East, but do some of those memories sort of pop up again here?
You know, it's one of my favorite coaching stints of all time. It was certainly magical. I still talk to all the players all the time, and it's 1987, so it's a long time ago. But it was a fun time. It was a sad time. It was everything, every emotion that you could possibly feel, both positively and negatively. And Providence, though, I used to, when I was at Kentucky, I would take my family for 2 to 3 weeks to Newport for the summer to vacation, and we did that for like a long time.
Thanks, Coach. Here, front left.
Hey, Rick. Welcome to Providence.
Thank you.
Kadari played in this tournament 3 years ago. It was a long time ago with Syracuse. What do you think it means to him to have another chance now in his last year? And you've talked about it before, but just how much has he grown and evolved since last year and obviously since his freshman year?
Well, I don't know anything about his freshman year, but he has grown just this year from a good practice player to a great practice player, in great shape, terrific basketball player.
What do you think it means to him to have this?
You have to ask him that. You know, I can't answer. I can't speak for him.
Coach right here in front.
Chris Gasper, Boston Globe. Coach Pitino, you are a Hall of Famer. You've accomplished pretty much everything that can be accomplished in coaching. You're 72 years old. What keeps you motivated at this point? Why do you want to keep doing this? What do you have to prove?
Well, first of all, I've been blessed for a long period of time, 50 years of coaching, 50 plus years of coaching. And I think I look at it this way. I don't know if God will bless me with 2, 3, 4 more years, but if he does, I know it's going to stop. So why not have a blast? Why not get the most out of it? Why not laugh, have fun, get great experiences? Because, early years wasn't like that. It was, you're trying to move up the ladder. You're trying to accomplish certain things collectively with the team, yourself. Now I don't have to move up the ladder. I don't have to look for another job. I don't have any dreams of coaching elsewhere. So it's just fun. You have fun with your guys. It's laughter. It's all the great things. But I do know it's coming to an end.
Do you let yourself enjoy it more now than maybe you did at Providence or Kentucky or the Celtics or Louisville, any of the stops?
Without question. I just revel in every single day of all of it. And being part of the NCAA tournament is what college basketball is all about. A long time ago, when I first started coaching, college football and college basketball were even. The NBA and the NFL were even. Today, a bad Saturday football game by not even a top 5, what they call Power 4 or 5 opponent, will outdraw an NBA playoff game. So, but this is our month. this is what college basketball lives for, March. So it's exciting.
Right behind Coach, right here.
Roger Rubin from Newsday.
Hello, Roger Rubin from Newsday.
Rick, you know, I know that you've talked to us a little bit about trying to recreate the tournament experience in your last 4 games, and that there isn't that much NCAA tournament experience. But with players like Smith and Scott, I mean, and a lot of them, but they've been trying to get to the NCAA tournament for their whole careers. You know, Smith and Scott, it's their last chance, and they finally make it. Is there some measure of reward for you that, like, you brought them in here and they're getting it?
Without question, you know, to go through a career and not be part of March Madness is really difficult for any athlete, especially at the major level. So for these guys to see Madison Square Garden packed, and they're not from New York, they don't know what Madison Square Garden really is about, and then to experience that the entire year, to win the Big East, to win the Big East tournament, sold out Madison Square Garden, louder than I've ever heard it, even as the Knick coach, was an amazing feeling for them. And now they get to experience March Madness. And, you know, it could be RJ's last year, too, for him to experience. He's never experienced it. So it's wonderful for them.
Right here in front, Coach.
Zach Brazil, New York Post. Rick, how do you get the guy? Saturday was such a high, was such a obviously incredible night for you guys. How do you get them to move past that and refocus, knowing, you know, you can't afford slip-ups, you can't afford a slow start, that this is now it?
Well, I think you have to look at the whole body of work the entire year. I don't think that, you know, when you lose 4 games by a total of 7 points, you're bringing it every night. I think there's only one game the entire year that I was just a little disappointed in our performance, and that was, I believe, at the win at Butler. Outside of that, they bring it all the time. We've been behind a lot. We have never panicked. We just get on to the next play, make the comeback, and do a lot of good things. So I don't think that's any concern of mine at all. Omaha's more of a concern than that.
Thanks, Coach. Right here to the left.
Rick, you mentioned this being fun, and does the fact that you went through what you went through with the Celtics and then came back, does that make sort of going through the changes that college basketball and college sports are going through, do you have a different sort of appreciation and maybe less frustration than some of the coaches that are trying to adapt to it because you went away and came back?
You know, when I went away to Greece after being fired, anytime you get fired, it's a traumatic experience. But even more so, what I went through, it's more traumatic. Felt a little betrayed in a lot of different areas. But then I took off for Greece by myself. I've never been to Greece, didn't know the EuroLeague, didn't know anything about it. And I stopped hanging my heads that night because I had a coach against Cheska. And then I had the most wonderful 2 years from a learning experience of my life at 65 and became the Greek national coach. And I look back on it and said, you know, there's always a silver lining in every cloud. And you've heard that expression many times. And for me, it was a major silver lining. It rejuvenated me. It stopped me from being bitter at all. It just said, let's get on with it. It's just adversity, and adversity you can look it square in the eyes and just piss all over it if you're smart. So don't hang your head. Just pick yourself up, get on, become the best EuroLeague coach you could possibly be, and move on. And then I came back and tried to be the best coach in the MAC conference I could possibly be. So it's been fun. It's been a blast.
Thanks, Coach. Right here in the middle of the right.
Rick, Kevin Connolly, Storm the Paint. You've talked in the last couple of weeks that the regular season was phase 1 and the Big East tournament was phase 2, and now the NCAA tournament is phase 3. Is there something you need to see different from your players, whether it be their intensity or their focus, to be as successful in phase 3 than they were in phase 1 and phase 2?
I just hope they play like phase 1 and phase 2. You know, the one thing I will say about our team, and it's exciting for me, is the improvement. You know, remember, you guys mentioned about, or somebody mentioned about RJ being a 3-star athlete, and here he is, a second-team All-American. He's first-team All-Big East. Zuby is a non-player at Kansas, now he's first-team All-Big East. So that's obvious, but I see tremendous improvement in Ruben Prey, in Vince, and in Lefty. So that's exciting for me to see the guys that don't get all that publicity really improving and getting a lot better.
Coach, back left here.
Yeah, Chuck Culpepper from the Washington Post. I think this is tournament game 76 for you, maybe, and I wondered while we're here talking about long resumes and mining your memory, what's in there about, let's see, Boston U versus LaSalle at the Palestra, I believe, game 1.
It's funny because Pat, Chuck, it's like 30 years ago they were covering, and feel like I'm 100, but yeah, it's. I go back so many years in those first rounds, and you look at it. I know I was in Omaha's shoes right now, but they're really, really good, and there's very little difference. Back then, there was a lot of difference between the upper level and those teams. Today, there's not a whole lot of difference. You may look at because you don't know them, but then when you watch film and you say, that point guard, he could be one of the premier point guards in the Big East. That power forward, hell of a basketball player. So it's come where the teams that aren't they're not a 1 seed, not a 2 seed, 3 seed, but they can flat out play. So you look back on those days of the Palestra or being at BU, and you're going against. There's only one coach I really considered a rival in my whole career, and I've been blessed to coach against. I coached against Frank McGuire's last game, coach against Dean Smith. There's only one coach that's ever I had a strong rivalry with, and today I respect him as much as anybody in the game, and that was Jim Calhoun. We hated each other, BU at Northeastern, hated each other, and there were 300 people at each arena. He goes on to coach at Connecticut, I go on to coach at Providence, and we hated each other there as well. And today I don't think I respect any coach in the game as much as I respect Jim Calhoun. So looking back on it, it was really funny at that stage of BU versus Northeastern.
Thanks, Coach. Going all the way back here on the right.
Anthony Evangelista, ESPN Charlotte. Do you feel like your team has played its best basketball yet, or is there another level to reach for the Johnnies?
Well, in order to get where we'd like to go, we're going to have to improve. There's a lot of great teams out there, and in order for us to beat Omaha and keep on moving on, we're going to have to improve.
Right here with John, Coach.
John Fanta, Fox Sports. Rick, along those lines, when you think about the improvement of your team, it's nothing new that your group evolves throughout the course of a season. You've said before that this team has defied certain laws of the game. How much do they make up for it, and in what ways do they make up for all that?
Well, I forgot the young lady's name in the last game at the Big East who does the sideline reporting. Really nice.
Christina Pink.
Okay, she came up to me and said, what do you attribute, being such a great offensive rebounding team? I said, we miss a lot. and she started hysterically laughing. I started hysterically laughing. And, we are not, if you take the stats, we are not as bad a shooting team, three-point shooting team, as our stats indicate. I think we're much better than that. We just went through some games where we were 1 for 23, and I pick up the stat sheet, we win by 14 points. So it's a possession game. It's forced turnovers. It's assists. It's getting your offensive rebounds, because you have to generate possessions if you're not a great shooting team, and this team has done that.
Zach Brazil, New York Post. Rick, Aaron just told us he has a torn tendon in his thumb, but he's able to play through it.
He's actually shooting better with the torn thumb. I wish he would have torn it long ago.
I guess two part. Number one, has he looked fine to you in practice? And number two, what is his toughness and his overall presence meant to this team?
He is very tough, and I'm not being facetious when I say he's been shooting the ball much better since that's occurred. I don't think there's any reason for that other than he's shooting the ball well. So he is a very tough young man. I've got tough guys. Zuby's tough. Aaron's tough. Kadari shows toughness at times. Vince and Ruben are very tough. So Sim, believe it or not, is for the last 5 to 6 weeks has been our best practice player. A few games he just takes himself out with foul trouble, but outside of that, he's been our best defender and our best offensive player.
Right here, Coach.
Bruce Beck, NBC4 New York. Rick, in terms of chemistry and cohesiveness, you guys have a lot of that. What do you think that stems from, and how much are you impressed by the way that these guys have each other's backs?
You know, in the beginning of the year, we weren't the most connected team in the Bahamas at all. But that's going to happen to all of us every year. Now, next year, we'll have about 6 or 7 players returning, and that'll be a major benefit. First year I took over, we had, 14 new players. And this year we have 4 new starters. So it takes the bad thing. I've always said, I don't mind the NIL, I don't mind the portal. The thing that's difficult for a coach is to get players connected offensively, defensively, and bonded because they're all new to each other. It takes time. By the time we got into January, we were a very connected team. We bonded very well. And I think those losses early on made us bond. So it was a good thing.
Got time for 1 or 2 more if they're out there. Right here? Right here, yeah.
Rick, with all the postseason experience that you have, how are you advising your players to handle this? Because the lights are brighter here.
I think with all of us that have been through this a lot, I think we don't necessarily have the formula for success. What we do know is what not to do. Making sure you don't apply a lot of stress to your team. Making sure you understand how important every little thing from a scouting standpoint, and then the unexpected. You're going against a team that hasn't played 1-3-1 or 3-2 zone the entire year. You better expect them to play that. You better come up with ideas of what would they do? We're the team that's the 2 seed, and what would that team, if I was back at Boston University right now, what would I be thinking to play against that 2 seed to confuse them, to get them so I could equalize that talent?
Coach right here up front.
Roger Rubin from Newsday. Rick, I know that you like to shoot down the premise of a question, but
do I really do that?
You've had a remarkable amount of success at winning 2 games in a weekend. And I know that you're very focused on Omaha, and obviously, can you give us an idea about what it takes to be the team that wins 2 games in a weekend and what might be going on behind the scenes?
Well, I think the first thing you do is don't think about the second game, because I think all of us in this room, if we knew who was going to win, I wouldn't be coaching, you wouldn't be writing. You have no idea who's going to win Kansas, Arkansas. 2 great programs, 2 great coaches, great talent. You have no idea. So you just focus on what you can control, and that's Omaha. You've got to know our respect for Omaha is off the charts. They can really, really play. There were certain teams I've seen sometimes in scouting that they had a lot of weaknesses and that you could exploit. I don't see that with this basketball team. So the best thing to do is just take care of preparing the first game, pay no attention to the second game at all, because I've not seen Kansas or Arkansas at all this year. I've seen a lot of teams play, but I haven't seen either one of those teams play. Now, I have now on tape, but I haven't prior to that. And I couldn't tell you who the better team is. I think they're both outstanding. Kansas was a preseason #1 in the nation. Arkansas has been really, really hot of late. So 2 great teams, they're going to do battle.
Coach, one last question on the right here.
Thank you for letting me squeeze this in, Mark. All right. Rick, looks like you were over at Rhode Island College this morning. Saw Coach Walsh post the picture of some of those banners that he helped put up there. Just what was the experience like, and was Coach Walsh telling any stories there?
No, he was just signing autographs and taking bows the entire practice. I asked him to get into practice a couple of times, and he said, Coach, I just have to finish signing these autographs, and I'll be right with you. So I never saw him in practice. No, actually, it's his scout. Omaha is his scout. Bob Walsh not only did a great job at Rhode Island College, but he's a brilliant coach. To be quite honest with you, he doesn't belong as an assistant. He's overqualified to be an assistant. He belongs as a head coach. Should be a head coach. He has a brilliant mind for the game. He works his tail off. Major, major asset for me, both at Iona. I have, I think, one of the better staffs in all of college basketball. Just a fabulous staff. My New York Knick ball boy is my associate coach. He played for me. He was an assistant coach with me. Why he stays around me, I don't know, but he's brilliant. Ricky Johns, Talik Brown. I told my team this, and I'll get off here. I said, do you understand what March can do for you in life? Still my players are in Lexington. I don't know if they're working, and they're still living a good life. But I said, let's take this, for instance. Talik Brown is a coach right now with us. He got a tremendous opportunity. Kamani from Connecticut recommended him to me. But if he didn't win a national championship at UConn, I would have never hired him. I wanted somebody that my players could look up to, and say, he's been through it. He won a national championship at UConn. This would be a great influence on my players. So I said, guys, if you have that type of run in March, you become part of basketball history, and it's more than just March Madness. You're part of that winning fiber forever at St. John's. And this team right now will be remembered for a long time at St. John's. And if we can continue on and win, it would be an awesome thing for all these young people.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck
Okay,
tomorrow.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Great seeing everybody for the last 50 years.
Just in closing, Hammond Communications will post recordings of all these press conferences today in the